So yeah, we're talking about CW Flash's Iris West again. Yeah, surprise, surprise, right? We talk about this character quite a bit. We talk about love interests in CW Flash quite a bit. I love talking about ships. I love talking about stuff along those lines. Maybe it's because I'm sucker for a good romance. Maybe because I'm lonely and at home by myself all the time. Now, either one could be the answer, but I won't admit to either one. Now, with that said, I want to talk about how the CW made Iris West so unlikable. Because, let's be honest, in the comics and other versions of Iris West, she's not bad by any means. Frankly, she's pretty good. But in that regard, like that specifically, she isn't also some sort of main character. And that's something I always bring up with CW Flash's Iris West, is the fact that they basically made her a very heavy main character. Like, she is on screen quite a bit. And I'm not saying that's a negative thing, but at the same time, there's a lot of ways to fix the idea of having her gain a lot of screen time, but not actually give her so much to the point where you're losing kind of points and chances to actually utilize her on screen. Because the way everything kind of crumbled was the fact that you made her, or CW made her, into something that Iris West normally and never really is, right? Made her a big part of the Team Flash team, and it kind of didn't really make sense in the grand scheme of things. Now, in the beginning, in all honesty, Iris West started off as kind of one of the most grounded, or in my opinion, a pretty likable character. I had nothing really against her. She had her own issues, right? And that was obviously involving the writing, but she had her own issues in terms of her feelings toward Barry, also like what she wanted to do, how she felt about Barry, and how she wanted to approach these things. But overall, she was not a bad character by any means necessary. There was really nothing about her that I disliked. There was nothing really about her that I really just hated throughout season 1. A lot of it was just a likable character. Now, was she a little bit annoying when the whole situation of like Barry confessed in season 1 and stuff like that? Sort of, but that's more of a Barry Allen issue more than a Iris West issue, because let's be honest, he kind of just comes out of nowhere for it and just straight up tells her, like, I know you've been feeling this way and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Barry, you might know that, but she might not fully know that under specific circumstances. And these things alone aren't really that annoying for me, especially with CW. But CW's writing slowly turned her into one of the most unlovable characters, especially one of the most unlovable lead characters that really all of us have seen in a long time. And it's not because of the acting. Maybe you believe the acting fell a little bit short with the relationship / chemistry between Iris or Grant Gustin and Candice Patton. But me personally, I just felt the lazy writing really screwed her up, like pretty badly. I mean, she wasn't amazing. I didn't think she was some high-level, perfect actress by any means. Nobody is. At all, right? Nobody is. But she was great. She was pretty good overall. But the thing is, the writing got really lazy. It felt like it was forced, and it felt like the character had a very poor direction. And like I said, in season 1, Iris was at her best, right? It seemed like she was some sort of emotional anchor, moral-esque compass for Barry Allen. Her life didn't revolve around Team Flash. She had her own storylines, her own things that she was dealing with. She had her own path that she was following, and she was able to pop in and out of the life of Barry Allen very seamlessly instead of just forcing her like just to be a part of everything. Now, obviously, her finding out that Barry is the Flash is a fine topic and something that is important to the show, but at the same time, she should have never been that involved after the fact. Like, after she finds out, she should have just not been involved at all, right? She should have been very, very away from it, especially because Joe and Barry wanted to keep her safe, and I feel like the best way to keep her safe is to keep her separated as much as possible from the idea of even utilizing her in the Flash team. Yeah, you could say, oh, well, she's safer with them, but I just disagree. There's just no way that her being there and being more involved and being, possibly caught knowing the Flash or knowing these other people is going to benefit them or benefit her safety anymore. Her being some sort of random, journalist that catches the Flash from time to time, talking about him, writing about him and stuff like that, that's completely fine, right? That is completely fine. And that aspect of her should have stayed that way. Maybe Barry and her, their relationship started gaining some speed there towards the end of season 1, where she's kind of getting interviews from him and stuff like that, where it's helping her career. But at the same time, she's kind of separating herself from Barry, involving the Flash specifically, believing that the safety and, being around all of this just isn't her. There's a reason why she didn't seek out to become a cop. There's a reason why she didn't seek out to become a crime fighter to an extent, right? She wanted to be a journalist. She wanted to talk about these things. She wanted to bring light to these situations. Bringing light to those situations is not the same as fighting the situation and going in the front lines and, throwing yourself in harm's way. Those are not things that Iris West should have been doing. And you could have played it with the writing where it's a lot better and not as forced with her involving herself within Star Labs. I mean, we start seeing this shift between seasons 2 and 3 as well, right? We see that, the whole role drastically changes. Developing, her journalism is kind of involving herself in Star Labs. She becomes basically a permanent member of the Flash team, like without really any clear reason. Like, she's just there. I mean, you have people that are there that are scientists, engineers, metahumans, people with really high level skills. I don't mind her popping in from time to time, I guess, right? I don't really like the idea necessarily that she's there even at all. But if you had to, if you're like, you know what, she has to show up from time to time, I wouldn't be too mad at it because it makes sense, right? You have a little bit of that journalism kind of show up, and she does a little bit of that journalism here and there. But the fact that you have all of this where she's like pushed into the scene of Star Labs and the Flash and the Team Flash and all that stuff for really no reason, and she doesn't really give that big of a boost, just makes things complicated, right? It makes things complicated when involving her in the writing process, and especially when you are involving her in such a way that isn't Iris West. Like, you're involving her in a way that is a weird superhero like kind of combination. Like, you have her helping with superheroes when it really should be her still trying to thrive her own career, maybe her trying to find a way to start loving Barry, because that's a whole thing, right? They love each other, whatever, blah blah blah. That could be a whole thing where she wants Barry to be able to separate from the Flash and Barry Allen, and like, those two things, and she would have her own, like baggage in the way, and the her own irritations involving Barry, right? Involving Barry being the Flash, maybe him speeding away all the time or doing this or doing that. And she would be annoyed by this, frustrated by this. But here's the thing. She's not annoyed by it because he's saving people or because he's doing this and doing that. No. She's just frustrated that she feels this way. She feels the way of like, she wants more attention from Barry, but it's hard to get it because of how important his job is, right? As the Flash, as a forensic scientist in the, in the police force and all these things. And she has to go through her own arc of trying to figure that out. Like, how do I make sure that I'm okay with it and I'm fine around him, because it's not his fault that he is becoming the hero that he is. It's not his fault that like that I feel this way. And it's kind of like your Amber Invincible situation, where Amber's like, I know you're invincible, but I don't care. You still did this, you still did that, you still made me feel like this, which it would be fine to feel that way as long as you understand that, look, I get it that you have these choices to be made, and you would be basically sacrificing lives just making me feel better all the time. So I get it, but I'm still allowed to feel sad. I'm still allowed to feel emotional and a certain way about my partner not being around me as much. And that's something that she'll have to figure out on her own. But eventually they're going to be able to get over that hurdle. Like, that is like the whole idea of a relationship between a superhero and a normal person. Not throw her into the mix of legitimately superhero work when she has nothing to do with any of it. And that's just poor writing, trying to shove Iris West into a situation where they can get more lines, more screen time, and stuff like that. And talk about poor writing. I mean, the "We Are the Flash" line is one of the most horrendous things that we have heard in a very long time. I mean, the "We Are the Flash" line is terrible. It was horrible when all of us seen it, all of us watched it, especially when Iris starts talking about how like she's the leader of this team and she's this, she's that. And that's kind of the issue with putting a person that isn't necessarily supposed to be a part of the team in terms of Team Flash, like in a situation like this. Then you're allowed to basically give yourself extra drama for no reason. Like, for example, when Ralph Dibny basically tells her, like, you sit behind a screen. You sit behind a screen, you bark orders, you do this, you do that, right? Like, those are the things you do. You're not out there, like, sacrificing. You're not out there, you know, putting yourself in harm's way. And, frankly, she shouldn't be. But she also shouldn't be the, like, de facto somehow leader of the Flash. Or the Flash team. It doesn't make sense at all. And then you get all this weird drama, right, with Iris, with all this little stuff, right? And even when we go further in and we have Barry basically get changed into the Reverse Flash, and Iris is, you know, married to Thawne and stuff like that, you get a moment where it's an okay moment, but the taste in everybody's mouths from Iris West is just so bad in terms of the writing, in terms of CW, and in terms of like all of this stuff. And you get it to the point where you're like, yeah, this moment would be nice with Iris basically figuring out, like, I know this is my Barry, even though, like, somehow in my mind I'm thinking that I'm married to this person and this and that somehow, like, she finds a way to, like, realize, like, this is the love of my life, right? That is such a cool moment. But the thing is, that moment's kind of ruined, right? A lot of us are thinking about it like, I mean, this is just a lame moment now. Like, we already dislike this character. We already don't like the way she approached things. And we already don't like all of this, like, nonsense. And it's a lot of just excess drama that CW loves to do with their shows. And I love CW Flash in terms of, like what they did with it. But there's a lot of extra drama. And the reason why CW made Iris West so unlikable, well, one reason is I truly believe they didn't get it. Like, they didn't understand what Iris West really was in the whole storyline of the Flash. But secondly, I feel like they made her so unlikable mainly for the reason of just bringing up extra drama throughout the seasons. It felt like they had her not only come together with Barry sooner so that they could just be like, all right, now we can kind of do drama-filled situations involving two of the most highly known characters, right, in the Flash kind of storyline. You got Barry Allen and Iris West. Everybody knows Barry Allen and Iris West. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have those two, and now we can have some drama storylines involving the two. Mirrorverse, whatever you guys want to call it, right? Whatever, like Mirror Iris storyline and all these other storylines that end with a lot of Iris being kind of shown in a very unlikable way, right? A lot of the times that's the case. Because the character herself, Iris West herself, isn't a bad character, right? We know like the Iris West in the comics, stuff like that. She's not a bad character, not really an annoying character at all. None of those things. But in this, they definitely crank it up to 11 in terms of the drama, trying to make her, annoying or, unreasonable, unlikable. I mean, the idea that the way she, like, blames Barry for basically saving the city by going into the Speed Force is a pretty crazy kind of idea when she could have brought it up in a totally different way. Like, if she brought it up during, like, like they were talking and they were like, she was like, I get it. Like, you had to save everybody. You had to save us. You had to save the city, but I still missed you, right? It hurts when somebody you love leaves, even though it's, like, inevitable, right? You couldn't do anything about it. That would have been, like, we would have all looked at it and been like, you know what? I get it, right? Because I would feel the same way if I was in some sort of scenario in that way, right? Like, you would be sad. Like, I'm still sad that my partner's gone, even though they didn't have a choice. There was no choice here to do anything differently, especially if it's for the greater good. And those type of storylines, like those type of lines where they decide to go the huge drama direction, is what made Iris West so unreasonably unlikable that it is like a lot of people dislike the character, including me. I've made plenty of videos about how much I dislike the character of Iris West, but I would love to hear what you guys have to say. I would say this is probably my last Iris West video, but I would be lying straight through the screen. I'd be lying to you because I love talking about various characters, and that includes Iris West. And I love talking about CW Flash. Definitely a blast from the past, rewatching and talking about it. I just love it. It's always my home space. It makes me feel at home when I'm talking about CW Flash. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, I hope you guys did. Show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And yeah, with that said, if you guys enjoyed this video, YouTube believes you'll enjoy this one, so might as well go check it out.